and welcome back to the Weekend Spread. I'm your host, Bobby Howard. With me today, we've got Jamison, Maxwell, Ty Lee, and the captain, Boatin Blake, and we are back for another season of the Weekend Spread. Boys, we've been doing these picks in some form or another for a good part of, 6-7 years? And we're back again. It's week 0. Not everyone appreciates week 0 like we do. But that's okay because we are here. We're pumped. And week 0 is like this delightful little transition from preview season into the football season. And that's going to reflect on our show. We're going to get our first 3 picks of the year in, predict the college football playoff, some of our favorite win totals. It's going to be great. So as we get started here, Blake, I got to ask, as our resident man of the crumbs, you love yourself a good messy game. How excited are you for this year's version of week 0?
I'm very excited. We've definitely had years with some better matchups, some better games. I feel like it dwindles year to year. We really only have one in each time slot leading up to the evening, but I'm really excited. We got the marquee game, Florida State, Georgia Tech, the Scrappy Dogs. I saw today that the Scrappy Dogs as underdogs are 12-3 against the spread. At least give us a good one in Ireland. Then we got Nevada, my dynasty team that I started with originally, versus SMU, one of my hated rivals. And then also I think sprinkle in, I don't even know if we're selecting it, but New Mexico, Montana State, or Hawaii, Delaware State, whichever ones fall in there. But look, I love week 0. It's the perfect it's like when you go to a fancy restaurant and before they even give you the appetizers, they give you the small bites or hors d'oeuvres that you're paying tons of money just to get one bite of something that's probably pretty mediocre, but it starts the meal. It starts your hunger for more, for better. We'll get that with week 1, but I'm excited for just that small little bite that is week 0 to just bridge the gap for us going into college football season.
I think this might be the chef's sample, Blake. I don't even think we're having to pay for week 0. It's like compliments of the chef. Here's a little palette.
It's bad. It is college football. It is college football.
You're like, damn, I was hungry. Thank God they brought something out because I'm going to be really waiting at this Michelin star. But
this is really the complimentary water.
No, it's sustenance, Bobby. It's sustenance.
What? So the ice?
No, I'm telling you, Blake was great about this. The compliments of the chef, a free little thing that they bring out. But now it might not be the best. You don't have to pay for it, though.
I need week -1. Well, I need week -1, and I need just the bummiest game. The bummiest game in the most random location.
Ty?
Yeah, I've never run a restaurant, but presumably it's just priced into everyone's meals. I like that analogy though. This week 0, it's like we're at Texas Roadhouse. In this week 0 is the peanuts, right?
That's it.
We're wanting the rolls with the.
I thought you were going to go with the rolls.
No. There's been some week 0s. There's been some week 0s that are the rolls with the cinnamon butter.
Nebraska and Northwestern.
Yeah, this is not one of those, but it's still the peanuts. And you know what? We're famished, so we'll take the peanuts. As much as we love the rolls with the cinnamon butter,
it's the peanuts though, Ty. But you're sitting in the front of the restaurant on those long benches waiting for your table.
Yes, yeah. We're not seated yet. We're in the waiting area, and there's a bunch of families in OSU gear just being. We're not going to continue down that line.
It's all good. So, okay. So we're here.
We are here
at the start. Yeah, no, I know. So we're at the start of the weekend spread season. So if you're just tuning in and you might not know what the weekend spread is, let me run it down for you. So every year we've been having essentially some a sort of a pick'em contest where all 4 of us pick 10 of the best college football, 9 of our favorite college football games, usually from in the past, the Big 12, and then 1 wild card. At the end of the season, we have a winner and we have a loser. The winner gets really nothing. I don't think we've ever really had a reward. I mean, just kind of pride, joy.
It's pride, but it's a good sense of pride. I do not feel like I got I did not get gypped by the fact that I won last year. It's an immense feeling.
Yeah, but that is true, and the loser does face a punishment. I don't know if we've broken out the punishment in a while, or like if we've discussed what the punishment is.
Nope, it's
Ty has done it back-to-back years, but Ty, I will say the people in the comments are noticing you have brought the hat back, which is a big development. Yeah.
Yes, I have returned with the cowboy hat. It was absent last season, and I determined that really the hat was not to blame for the poor performance last season. What was to blame for the poor performance last season was believing in someone whose initials are D and G, and then someone whose initials are, sorry, my dog is going crazy.
Have you trained her to lose her mind if she hears any mention of Dylan Gabriel? Or
exactly, yeah. And as a lifelong Oregon fan, that crushes me, the developments there. But yes, no, I was too kind last season. So this season, pure business. We have a new sort of methodology beyond emotion to pick. So bringing the cowboy hat back. We'll discuss it later as the season goes on.
Oh, this is so great.
Oh, yeah, it is truly wonderful. And here's the thing is, like, even though Ty finished last, both years he's finished last, he's been 500. So, like, we are all relatively pretty damn good at picking ball games.
Yes. And the year before I did win, just for the record.
That is true.
I wasn't just, I have won a championship. I'm just like LSU. I just do terrible rebuilding years, and then out of nowhere, I'll come back and win.
But yeah, when the moon is right, that's when you're rolling. But no, like, yeah. So we all make our picks. There are a couple wrinkles. So everyone has one pick that they can drop at any point in time called the pot of greed, which gives them an extra wild card pick. They can use it on whatever they want. For some reason, this group consistently uses it on Texas State, who we refer to as BOGO. I feel like we have to have a no BOGO rule because it's getting abused. It's getting abused.
It's not getting abused.
It's not,
you can only use it one time.
This is America, Bobby.
But it just becomes a BOGO free space. Like,
wait, Jamison, did you win your BOGO pick last year?
Which BOGO?
Or like the wild? I feel like you pot agreed BOGO. Did you pot agreed it correctly? I feel like you did not.
I feel like he was the only one who actually pot agreed BOGO wrong.
I don't think he picked them last year. No, they were on the slate regularly.
Oh, he absolutely did.
No, last year everybody picked. I'm pretty sure last year everybody picked BOGO.
Yes, because they were on the slate.
I picked Alabama minus.
Yeah, I picked
right.
Bama. I always do my 50-point line week one.
Yeah. So, for example, last year, I'm scrolling back.
Yeah, I already found it. I lost.
Yeah, and look at that. The difference between Jamison and I was 2 wins for who won and who got second place. And look who took their pot agreed BOGO right at the end, willed them to victory, and got that separation. Like, that's the pot agreed matters. The pot agreed matters. It's only the big men on this podcast that can actually will them to victory, though.
Yeah, pot of greed definitely matters. And also, by the way, I won on BOGO too, so I really actually have no room to talk. But so in addition to our pot of greed, we're also going to be doing our favorite win total, which we'll be tracking over the year, and we'll be talking about that tonight. So one of our kind of wild cards will be going down that we'll be tracking all season long, and also the loser of the wild card, whoever has the worst wild card record, will face a punishment slightly more minor than the winner. We really need to find something to give the winner, just something like small, like nothing big, just kind of small.
A pocket watch.
Yeah, a pocket watch. Maybe a ceramic pot of greed. I don't know.
I could have said anything, and Bobby was like, "Yeah."
What about a pot of greed coffee mug? That sounds good. I don't know if you want that.
That does sounds like viable on Etsy.
Yeah, maybe a little uncomfortable. All right, but so I think that's pretty much all we have in terms of new rules. Anything else? Have I missed anything? That
we have one mulligan per season must be called on that pod.
Yes.
If you want to explain
if you make a pick, you can go back on it after saying said pick after your time's up. you have one mulligan. That's it. But yeah, I think that's about it. So before we dive in, a reminder of the 2023 standings. Boatin Blake was first at 80 and 68. Jamison second at 78 and 70. Me at 76 and 72. And the tie at 74 and 74. So yeah, we'll see how it goes this time. It should be exciting. We're all fired up, but y'all are tired of hearing about us talk about our very specific game that we have going on. So we're going to dive into the picks, and starting with the big one. It is the traditional Ireland game. Apparently we keep doing these, so we're going to keep picking them. And this is definitely the big one of week 0. It's the 10th ranked Florida State Seminoles. Last year, 13-1. That one loss, of course, coming in the Orange Bowl against Georgia. They're taking on the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, who were 7-6 last season, 8-5 against the spread. We locked this one, Florida State at -11. You can find this one 11 a.m. Central on ESPN. So I'm going to go ahead and kick this to Ty to start off with. Ty, who do you like in this game?
I only like one of these teams, and I will be only picking. Doesn't make any sense. I will only be picking one of these teams. We're off to a hot start, week 0.
You can't pick them to tie.
Give me, yes, a push at 11. And I don't know. I feel like if I call a push at 11, I should be awarded 2 wins.
You should get
hits. We're already making new rules. First pick of the first season.
Also, if you go undefeated in a week, you get a free pot of green.
No, these are too many last second things.
Yeah,
never mind.
I will be taking Florida State. Here's an important thing to know about
Florida State. Oh my God, really?
It's not going to bite them in this game, but their quarterback is DJU. We all know DJU. He's been playing since before Tom Brady was even a starter on the Patriots, it feels like. What DJU does is he takes a really good team and he turns them into a slightly less good, still fairly good team. He did it at Clemson. He did it at Washington State. He's going to do it at Florida State. They will not be 13-1 this year, right? We'll talk about where I feel they're going to be at the end of the season. They're going to be worse than they were last year. They're not going to be terrible, but he never makes the team better. That asterisk, however you pronounce that word, I went to OU, will not affect them this week. They will carry the day over Georgia Tech by at least 11. I like that a lot. Yeah. Oh, they lost a bunch of people. Oh, like a big turnover. Oh, like they were embarrassed in their bowl game. They're playing Georgia Tech. Let's be realistic here. They also probably lost a bunch of people who now, like, oh, Florida State lost a bunch of people who went on to the NFL. Like Georgia Tech lost a bunch of people who now just work normal jobs with everyone else. So I don't want to hear it. Give me Florida State. That's the conclusion of my pick.
Blake, come on, guys. You know how it goes.
Okay.
Wait, what is this order? Why wouldn't it be you next?
Fine.
You're
it's
third
fine.
Clockwise.
It's fine. We can establish the.
What order did you put us in?
I see what Jamison is saying here. This
is a little.
This is some
I honestly designed the template and forgot to actually give it any order, so we just. It's
now he's trying to gaslight me to think that I'm the one in the wrong here. Come on,
it's 0. What is it?
It's clockwise. No. It's how we've always done it. It's clockwise.
I didn't want to go on the long introductory rant and then give a pick. Like, it makes more sense to just knock it off or like pass it off to Ty real quick. So, sorry.
I will take the ball and run with it then. So, Florida State. I'm going to go Florida State -11. I'm joining Ty here. I love me some scrappy dogs, but there's some warning signs in this game. Let's go first, Florida State. The reason why I'm a little bit scared about this pick, Florida State is a classic. They're running at 80% of what they were last year. Like, they lost a lot of guys on the offensive side of the ball, a lot of guys on the defensive side of the ball that were actual game wreckers. But they do have a good culture there. They do have a good portal class. They do have good talent development. That I think this Florida State team is still going to be lethal. I don't think they're still going to be as good as last year, but they're still going to be good. But when you go to Georgia Tech, this is what worries me is this Georgia Tech team last year They are the most hit or miss team. Haynes King, I think, led the ACC in touchdown passes, also led it in interceptions. This guy is a complete wild card. You do not know what you're going to get for it. You do not, you just don't know what this man is going to do. And I think that offense ultimately, like when a season progresses, they're going to be just fine. That defense is going to be atrocious. They were bad last year and they lost basically every starter. And now they brought a new defensive coordinator. That's going to take some time to really get the guys going there. They have brand new guys on that side of the ball. I don't think very good recruits. I got to go Florida State here. I think also, too, to note the edge of them. I just feel like the edge of them getting left out of the playoff last year is going to really ring true in some of these games, especially at the beginning of the year when it's like, you are the standalone national game. You're going to go out there to show them that, like, hey, like, we deserve to be there. I think in the end, it'll suss itself out when they play some legitimate opponents and they'll start losing. But for a team like Georgia Tech at the beginning of the season, for a year they felt like they were disrespected, this is easy. I think this is an easy one. Florida State -11. I think it's going to be a roll. We've kind of seen it. Like, last year, I was all over Navy, I felt like, and it just didn't go well. It's just like the better teams win these like weird games when you play them abroad, just because like it really like it neutralizes anything that could possibly affect one team or the other. It's a true neutral site game. Got to take it to Florida State. Not in love with them this year, but it's, yeah, Georgia Tech's going to be, they're way too wild. It could just be it could be at the end of the game, Haynes King throws a pick 6 to cover this. Like, I see too many ways for Florida State to cover this, so I will kick it to Jamison now.
Yeah, this is a total fade Haynes King. And I like how their running back's last name is also Haynes. So it's like a random Haynes just all over the field.
Haynes.
And I feel like we've been hating on Haynes King since he was at Texas A&M. So it's been 3 years now that we have been hating him, or maybe even longer. So I was going to say something that Blake exactly said, so I'm not going to harp on it too much. This is a game that's nationally televised, a lot of eyes on it, and Florida State has a chip on their shoulder. That's the it factor that's going to push them over. That I think that they can cover the spread and get out early. And I'm super surprised Ty's picking Florida State whenever he's been the most anti-DJU guy. Like, I was ready for the DJU slander, but I guess he truly is a DJU believer, even though he was trying to hedge it after.
I went on a whole. That's not a hedge. That's a fact.
No, you said I'm going to pick Florida State, but I'm going to hate on.
Okay,
DJU.
That's like me saying that the Cowboys this year would lose to the Cardinals, who are predicted to lose every game this season, just because Dak is trash.
Covering the spread's much different.
Yes, but DJU doesn't create terrible teams. He just makes great teams worse.
Oregon State?
Yeah, Oregon State, who won 10 games the year before he got there, and then he turned them into an 8-5 team. Yes, that Oregon State. Everyone acts like Oregon State won 0 games before he showed up. They were actually better before he rolled up. It's wild what he's done there PR-wise.
Okay. I mean, I think his schedule is a little tougher year 2, or in that year. But no, I mean, I'm also kind of out on DJU anyways. Jamison, did you have more to say on this?
I picked Florida State. I don't have much to say because Blake said my talking point.
Yeah, I mean, this is tricky to me because I would love to pick Scrappy Dogs in this position, but it's just one of those where, I feel like I kind of got bit by Navy last year, thinking that they could cover against Notre Dame. Very much didn't work there. And look, do I want to go out on a limb week 0 and like go with Georgia Tech here? I don't think so. 11 is too cheap. I know the Sharks have been on it. The Sharps have been on it. This has been dipping, but ultimately I just can't pull the trigger on it. So give me the Seminoles -11, but it's a I don't know. It's not an endorsement on Florida State by any mean, like long term this season. I'm not big on the Noles. I think they've lost a lot, but Georgia Tech, man, come on. All right, moving on to our next game. Montana State out of the FCS, 8-4 last year. They're heading to New Mexico, heading to Albuquerque to take on the Lobos, who were 4-8, 5-3 against the spread last season. Of course, Montana State does not have those numbers as they are D2. But here's the thing. Montana State out of the FCS, they are 11-point favorites last time we checked when we locked this in. You can find this game 3 p.m. Central on Fox Sports 1. And I'll kick this one off. So I feel like every time you look at these type of games, like kind of you're like FCS versus the big team. Like we're obviously going to go with the team in the higher division, but for me, the division is between winners and losers. And New Mexico to me, they're a perennial loser. They're not a good program at all. And Montana State, very recently was like FCS championship caliber, like a championship caliber team in the FCS. So to me, I feel like Montana State, they're going in here with a lot of confidence, a lot of ability, and obviously the betting line or the betting markets agree with me there. So I'm going to go Montana State. I know 11's a little high for an FCS program, but I think they get the win here in Albuquerque.
Give me the Lobos here. I think way too many people are buying in it's the good FCS opponent versus the bad, FBS team right here at the beginning. And I think that's probably getting overbought here and overcompensating. You cannot take into account too much that New Mexico's the home team and they're a double-digit underdog. Like there's a lot that you want to buy into that from a week 0 standpoint that I think is very valuable to get in on. One thing that made me really laugh as I was checking this, and I really hope that this is wrong, I was looking up New Mexico's depth chart on the Our Lads, and it says every single offensive lineman that's going to be starting for them is a transfer on New Mexico. And I said, woof, I hope that's not true. I hope it's not true. But if something goes wrong and really, really wrong, I know what to turn to. But I looked at their quarterback, and I'm hoping he's going to start because he's a guy that played for them a little bit last year. Devin Dampier. He's looking like he did pretty well in his snaps that he got. He had no interceptions, 6 touchdowns, had a good game versus Boise, 17-26, threw for 200 yards. I think he's got it a little bit now coming in as a true sophomore. I'm believing in New Mexico at least to cover this spread.
I'm joining Jamison here. It's like this is bleak. This is a bleak game. I look at New Mexico and I'm like 4-8. There's no way they can be that bad. I checked their win total and it is 2.5. Like in the over is juice, or like the over is getting some pretty heavy plus money. Like they are saying they're going under 2.5 wins for sure, but you just hope. It's like they brought in Bronco Mendenhall, which I always loved him at UVA. I felt like UVA never gets good talent, never gets good anything, but we're still in ACC games. We've seen them go to Tony Elliott. Like Tony Elliott hasn't done anything there. It feels like, and so Bronco Mendenhall being the coach, I like what Jamison said about Devin Dampier. It's like he came in at the end of the season, seemed decent. He's a good dual threat quarterback. They have no offensive linemen. I think they lost their running back into the transfer portal. Any good defender lost to the transfer portal, which is kind of sad. This is kind of the state of G5 these days. Whenever you get good players, not at Boise State, not at some of these higher G5 schools where they're willing to stay, they immediately go, and that's what Bronco Mendenhall is going to have to deal with. But I just have to, this is one of their only, not I guess with 11-point spread, it's not winnable, but at least somewhat winnable games on their schedule. It's bleak. It is bleak there for the Lobos. So I got to go keep it close. 11 points is just a lot. Is a lot for an FCS team. So I'm going to go the Lobos, just pray for a little miracle cover. But yeah, there's nothing on the defense end, nothing on the O-line, nothing in the running back room. It's just a quarterback we saw for a few games at the end of last season and Bronco Mendenhall, and I just hope that leads us to cover.
And I'll say this, Blake, that exact formula is how we got Diego Pavia in our life.
Yeah,
just think.
Nobody cared about New Mexico State till Diego Pavia and Jerry Hill, an elite just 1-2 punch combination. Maybe we can get that with New Mexico this year.
And never forget, they're at Vandy now, both of them.
Both. Yep.
Yeah. Ty, who do you like?
3 important things to know. One is a sad thing. One is an important fact for everyone to know. And then one will pull the curtain back on my methodology for this season. So first off, sad thing. Unfortunately, beloved friend of the pod, Boatin Blake, is unfortunately, it appears that he is caught ball not nowhere based on this most recent pick. So
Week 0 with New Mexico.
Sad to see.
Ball not knowerism. Sad to see.
Boatin Blake is over here. Yesterday, he was defending. He said, and I quote, "I support everything that Colin Cowherd says."
It was not
And
that.
now,
It said, I love Colin
I will
Cowherd.
pull the receipts. He does love Colin. Yes, he loves Pate. Now he's picking New Mexico. It's terrible. Second thing important for everyone to know: we pulled these lines from ESPN. That's who we're going to be pulling from this season. According to ESPN, as of right now, time of recording, which is Wednesday night, this has actually gone up in Montana State's favor, just a half point, but It is trending upwards, 11.5 now for Montana State. So,
Great.
Third piece to know is this week we're probably not going to be doing it all season. I don't know. We'll see how it works out. We got to do a little experiment. We have some men of science on the pod, so they will understand that you have to run an experiment for a bit. We have to get some data points. I went into the lab, right, and I said, what did we do wrong last season beyond just picking off emotion? We didn't have a concrete methodology. We were going in all haphazard. And we really had to sit down and say, what sort of advanced analytics, what sort of data points do I have that other people just don't have? What's my asymmetric advantage? And that's when I realized that I have a very important data point in college football that's backed up by every conceivable metric that people just don't buy into. And that's the fact that if you're a good team, you don't need super fancy or ornate or alternate uniforms. You just need something to wear while you go out there and dominate football. So, of course, I've never even heard of either of these teams. One of them is an off-brand Mexico, and one is conceivably the second best university in Montana, which is a ball not nowhere state. So how am I going to pick this one? Who is compensating more? Who has to put more random stuff on their uniform? And that's New Mexico. They got like 4 or 5 different words, not counting names, on their uniforms. It's crazy. What are they compensating for? This logo, way too complex. They're trying to add all this like detail and stuff to their uniform to sort of flash it up and distract you. Montana State, much cleaner, much more simple uniforms. I can tell that they are not having to compensate as much for their on-the-field play. I don't FBS, FCS. You're not going to get me to believe that New Mexico is somehow like markedly better than Montana State. That's ridiculous. They're FBS. Okay, and like if you're not in the top of the Big 12 and then in the SEC or the Big 10, like you're basically FCS. So give me Montana State minus 11.
Good.
All right,
Bobby-
we're split. Go ahead.
Bobby did use the old Lobos logo, not to rain on Ty's parade. About
They've updated?
No, but it's more about their uniforms. I mean, I'm speaking to what our beloved viewers can see if they're watching on YouTube. But even their uniforms, right? It says Lobos down the leg. It says New Mexico on the front. It's got all sorts of stuff all over it. Too many words. There's too much stuff going on. They're trying to compensate.
Blake, what are you talking about? That is literally the logo that pops up in the top left corner when you go to golobos.com.
That is not on their helmets. I'll show you.
Like of anyone, you should know that helmet logo doesn't correlate to normal logo.
No, it's the logo they've been using. I'll send it to you in the chat right now.
It's like
I hate it. I hate it.
Logo.
It is not the logo they're using.
I
anymore.
use their athletic mark, not their helmet mark. It's different. Anyways, let's move on to our next game. It's our last game, actually. We're not picking Hawaii Delaware State. I kind of regret it.
Rats.
There wasn't a line earlier when we went to lock it, and it came out as 39. So I just decided I regret not doing it because it would have been really funny to discuss. But we're moving on to our next game. It's the SMU Mustangs. Last season in the American, 11-3, 8-6 against the spread. They're currently receiving votes in the AP poll. First year in the ACC. Very, very bizarre to say. They're traveling to Reno to take on the Nevada Wolfpack, who last season went 2-10, 6-6 against the spread. Not great times out there. SMU favored by 27 here when we locked our lines. You can find this one 7 p.m. Central on CBS Sports Network. Ty, since you were last, start the picking process.
I almost always get burned when I don't know the answer to one of these questions. What is the RV in the bottom of SMU's logo?
Receiving votes.
What does that mean? Like
that they received
poll?
votes in
Like
the AP
ranking?
poll.
Oh, we're doing that now? We're doing that?
Just for fun.
Okay. No. That
Well,
makes
Colorado has one. They're like when we picked Colorado had one voter vote for them in the AP Top 25, so they have received a vote.
Okay, yeah.
We're not picking them next week.
Blake is attacking
on the slate.
you. Yeah, Blake's attacking you like you were the one that voted for them. I just wasn't.
I honestly just wanted more to. I wanted more to do with the graphics.
No, this
just
makes
because
sense.
I'm like I'm bored with this week 0.
I thought this was going to be like someone who passed away or something. And
No.
How did you not know? So okay, that's a sigh of relief. This one I've already spent most of my time on. Blake complaining that Colorado was receiving votes in the AP poll, which is, we'll get to that.
It's wild. It's wild. It is. No, it's receiving votes is very generous. It is receiving vote. It was a vote. It was the singular version of it. It's the Denver Herald guy voted for Colorado to be in the top 25.
He probably voted for Colorado because he was afraid that if he didn't, then Dion was going to cut off his media access.
The poor CBS. Have y'all seen that? I'm assuming Bobby has because he referenced the poor CBS guy. He's like the CBS local affiliate, like asking a question. He's like, I don't answer your questions. And he's like, wait, what? He's like, I got a beef with CBS. And he's like, I'm of the regional affiliate. Like, I'm not even like national CBS. And he goes, I don't care. I don't care. Like, you're not getting your questions answered. It's like this poor guy just on the Colorado beat, and he's gonna get fired because he can't get any quotes from a Dion press conference.
Well, Blake, do you know why he had a beef with CBS?
What is it? Because I've heard multiple reports of stuff 20 years ago happening.
No. So what it was is CBS came out with a we're gonna power rank the Big 12 coaches, and I think he finished last. And so some list that I don't know, Tom Fornelli or someone wrote got this poor CBS reporter in Denver completely screwed over just because Dion ended up last, which might be a little bit too much in the Big 12, but anyways, Ty, who do you like in this game?
Yeah, it's unfortunate because again, I don't want to make light of a terrible situation and Blake catching ball not nowhere, but this one is very simple. His judgment will be clouded by emotion here, but he must learn from Jamison and I, who are not too prideful to pick the obvious winner when it comes up. Sometimes you have to pick your rival when it's the obvious business decision. I hope that Blake can kick his ball not nowhere and realize that, but this is an obvious SMU minus 27 in this one. Again, for me, this came down to branding. You just can't beat that just beautiful just the balance of it. It's not just the red, white, and blue. It's the balance that they have in it, and how tastefully they use the white is just, it cannot be beaten. So give me the Ponies, only mascot to have ever killed another mascot during a game, which you always have to factor in. And Nevada, I don't even think they actually have a Lobos mascot in reality. So give me the Ponies.
Technically, Texas Tech also did it, but it did it to itself by running into a wall.
All right.
Anyways, Blake, who do you like on this one?
This one's hard.
Mascot a person?
No.
The Red Raider on how Oklahoma, they just copy each other when it comes to traditions. You know how Oklahoma State has the cowgirl on the horse that runs out before games and does that whole thing. Well,
the
Texas
Masked
Tech
Rider,
has the same thing with the Masquerader, and they run out and do the same deal, but the horse.
So does the
ran
horse.
It's a lady,
Or
it's a
person on the
desperado
horse.
on a horse.
And she
But
ran
who
him into
died?
a wall.
No,
The horse.
I think the
Person
horse.
died?
I think the
The
horse
horse.
bucked her off.
Okay.
And then went off on its own and ran into a wall.
And broke
But the
its neck.
person did not die.
The person,
No.
the person's good. No, Raider
Oh.
Red did not
So that's
accidentally.
what I thought.
the Yosemite Sam ripoff did not kill himself.
He
No.
ran into a wall.
No. Talking about the horse, Ty.
Okay, I did not. That didn't click for me.
Jesus. Anyways, Blake, I know you're probably not conflicted about this at all because you've been playing. The people probably don't know, but you've been playing Nevada as one of your dynasty teams. Obviously, dislike SMU. You're right next to SMU, which has to suck. But are you going to resist temptation and go with go with the Mustangs?
Yeah, it's the ultimate dilemma of being a ball not knower. Ball not knower. Ty said, I wish that would happen to the Cox Digi in relation to our Texas
I'm sorry. That private chat might have been the funniest. We're not gonna go in depth and explain that because the Cox Digi I don't think has existed for 10 years. But please, Blake, keep talking.
I am conflicted. It's the ultimate. It's my two things that I love the most is being a ball knower and also a hater at the same time. And that's what it kind of pins both against me. SMU is the better team here. Look, I'm not on SMU this entire year. I think they're going to have a relatively disappointing season. But like they are significantly better than this Nevada team. But I did play with Nevada a lot. I spent many hours this July playing as Nevada, and I'm going with the Wolfpack. I gotta go with them to do some cheeky stuff at the end of the game in order to cover. We gotta break down that offensive roster. Brandon Lewis, he was a monster for me at quarterback, but my God, when I'm actually looking at what his actual history is, he like came in at the end of the game, like end of the season last year, absolutely sucked for them. Like I think through like 4 picks against UNLV whenever he came in, like absolutely horrendous. But they do got Don Dollars. Don Dollars is the running back, a legend.
His name is Sean. But
his name is Sean, but it's Don. It's Don Dollars to me. And they have a great, he's like the 5th string wide receiver, but won a Heisman for me with Nate Burleson. I think the 2nd. I don't think he goes by junior. He might be the 3rd, but it's Nate Burleson's kid is the slot receiver. So I know a lot of these Nevada players. I'm very familiar with their game. In my eyes, they are a group of winners. One that when I played this game myself, I barely lost to SMU, and that was right when I started the game. So barely losing to SMU definitely covers the spread in a video game. So I'm going to go with Don Dollar and the boys, Nevada, to cover plus 27. Just take the over. Take the over if you're actually going to bet the game. Like, Nevada will score at least 1 or 2, and SMU is probably going to run up the score. But take the over, but I got to go with Nevada. I have a soft spot for that.
Nate Burleson the 2nd is going to play like 5 snaps. And like
He's not going to play at all. Like he would only come in on my on my 5 wide routes where he would cross the middle, and that's bread and butter versus the CPU in that game. You can easily hit
Blake
the guy
had like
just
21 touchdowns with him. It was unbelievable.
I know the routes that screw up the CPU, and he runs all those routes. Granted, it probably wouldn't work in a normal game, but it works in my mind. So
yeah, I'm so happy that Blake picked Nevada here because he's gonna be like, oh yeah, I know Nevada. They're the known commodity.
I said the exact opposite. I said they are like way worse than I actually think they are.
No,
but Don Dollars, man,
just a hedge. Preston Stone's just going to work them up. It's going to be 21-0 at the end of the first quarter, and we're going to be coasting. SMU got a good offensive line. Preston Smith, now a veteran, a redshirt junior, and he's been playing for a couple years now. Was a former 5-star guy coming out of high school. I think this SMU team's going to put it on early and keep going. So give me SMU, easiest pick of the week.
Yeah, agreed. SMU is going to just completely romp here, honestly. Like you said, Stone's a killer quarterback. I really like Rhett Lashley overall. Surely I feel like he's destined to go to a larger job. Because let's face it, SMU's alumni base, surely they can't have that much money left over after essentially paying them to cover their non-existent media money, because the ACC ain't give them nothing. So SMU here, big, to say the least. Okay, now we're going to move into our college football playoff predictions. This is actually the first time we've ever done this, mainly because in previous years it would just be 4 teams and would have been really boring. A lot of Alabama, a lot of Clemson, a lot of Georgia. But this time we're going with 12 teams, and I made all the graphics, so I've already seen everyone's. It's going to be a lot more fun. So we're going to dive into those, and I believe I'm up first. So my CFP is a bit nuts, and y'all react in the background, but I'm just going to go ahead and rattle it off. So, number 1, the SEC champion, Georgia. Ohio State adds the champions of the Big Ten. Then we're going to get a little weird. And again, not shocking if you've followed my, all of our conference previews, but the Big 12 champion, Kansas State. And then, look, Blake and I, when we did our ACC preview, I went with NC State to win the ACC championship. I ain't running from that. I'm sticking with the Wolfpack. They sneak into the college football playoff top 4 over there. 5, we got Ole Miss out of the SEC, obviously. 6, Oregon, new Big Ten team. 7, Texas. 8, Notre Dame. 9, Penn State. 10, Oklahoma. 11, Utah. And 12, we're rolling with Yosef. We're going with App State.
Penn State, number 10, Ty. Or number 9, excuse me.
Number 9. So, boys, feel free to roast me on this, because I know it's a bit wild. It's a little different, but I don't know. I think it's kind of a fun CFP. I think we're going to see some weird combinations that we probably wouldn't imagine in preseason.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Ty, please tell us what you think about Penn State making the CFP.
We'll get into mine, but it's the same as the ACC this year. They've been handed these cupcake schedules, and the way it's set up, like at least in terms of Bobby's Big Ten takes.
No Michigan.
I don't know. I'm a noted. Michigan's going to be garbage. Same with Bama. Yeah. This is a good list.
Dude, Michigan's defense, guys. If y'all come on, and dude, Orgy
Michigan's
and
defense. Their best defense was like, we didn't tell him to go to that game in those sunglasses. It was a terrible defense.
We can talk about the Wolverines a little bit later on this one.
NC State's bad. I thought that was a value pick, Bobby. I really thought I chose Nebraska as mine for the Big Ten, but NC State is
no love for Grayson McCall.
They can do fine, but they're a perennial team that cannot get over the hump of 10 wins. And now to go over 10 wins and make the playoff and win the ACC is it's a pretty insane jump. It's
a cake ACC though. You really only have to deal with Clemson. And let's just say you lose to Clemson. Take care of your business. Get to the ACC championship, and
you gotta lose. You gotta win that game, and
you gotta beat an inconsistent a Miami that I don't believe in, and a Florida State that I really don't believe in.
I believe in them a little bit more than NC State. Even their non-believe in is still 10-2, and even if it's Clemson, they would that's the 3rd team that you would run in, and they had already beaten them once this year. I don't know. It's a little rich.
Oh, I know it. I know it's rich. I know it's ballsy. I know it's wild. Nobody's calling NC State there, but I feel like they're a program that is they're pretty gritty. They can find a way to win, and it's kind of light. I don't know. And not only that, I really like Grayson McCall. I think his move there is going to be nice, and I don't know. I know it's rich, but
it is a little wild to me that I'm gonna be back talking my conference a little bit, but 2 Big 12 teams in, 1 ACC team in. I don't know. I feel like this year it's the top-loaded ACC is probably has a better chance of getting in multiple teams versus a Utah team that has probably at that point gone through multiple losses, didn't win a Big 12 championship. I feel like it's like we're destined, and I've accepted this, and I'm fine with it, and like it makes our conference interesting, but I don't think we're not getting 2 teams in, especially the first year.
Oh, okay. So let's move on to before we leave mine. Actually, I do want to mention this does have OU at Texas in the first round of the college football playoff, which would be could you only
That
imagine?
would be beautiful, man.
OU in
So
Austin.
fun.
That would be an unbelievable matchup. App State going to Oxford, that's fun. Utah, Oregon, classic Pac-10 battle, and then Penn State, Notre Dame, 2 completely overrated programs based off their brand, but hey, the TV networks would eat it up. So let's move on to Jamison's college football playoff.
Yeah!
Jamison, who do you got?
Ohio State at number 1. I think they go undefeated, and I think Georgia will get at least 1 loss this season. I think there'll be an argument for that. Ohio State will be ranked over them. Florida State at 3 is, I think, a hot take. I think it's a hot take, and I think a lot of people can flame me for it, but that's going to be my hot take. And
not a hot take. They're the odds-on favorite to win the ACC. Like you're projecting them at either the 3 or the 4 seed at that point.
It's hard
Are
to
they
call it
really
a
the
hot take
odds-on
after I
favorite?
just had NC State
Yes.
up there.
No, Bobby, you cannot use yourself as the leader, the flagpole that you stick in and be like,
It's
this
absurdity. NC State up there is absurdity, but I kind of could see a world where they do it. I'm just saying.
Yes, but Jamison's saying
it's not a hot
saying
take.
this is a hot take. Is like
it's not a hot
it's
take.
just
That
a
was
take.
bad verbiage. I meant
it is
a controversial take because I feel
a
like a lot
hot
of
take
people
is
are
different
out
than
on
just a
Florida
dumb take, like Bobby.
I know. I used the wrong term. I meant to be like a controversial because most
This
people
isn't
are
controversial at
getting
all.
out of here because people don't like Florida State this year. I'm just riding with it. I got Kansas State winning the Big 12, so they're my 4 seed. Alabama at 5. I got Michigan at 6. I'm surprised not to see a lot of love for Michigan, but I would love to hear y'all's thoughts on that. Moving down the list, Notre Dame at 7, Ole Miss at 8, Texas at 9, Oregon at 10. And then Blake, I understand your argument of there should be more ACC teams than Big 12 teams. I think Utah and Kansas State are going to have such high records that I think it's going to be a big judgment call. I completely understand what you're saying. And then
Utah never has a big record. They never do. 8-4, 9-3 every year. They're conference merchants, but they're going to do some dumb stuff in the non-conference.
Just my take. And then Texas State at number 12. This is not a homer pick. This is a legitimate pick. This team is good this year. This team is really good. They've got talent on the offensive side of the ball. Oh my gosh. Ismail Mahdi, one of the better running backs, if not the best running back in the Sun Belt Conference. Joey Hobart, one of the best wide receivers probably in the Sun Belt. This team's going to be so much fun. I'm really, really excited to watch them because the amount of talent they have on their team with Jordan McLeod at quarterback and then the running back and wide receiver room with one of the best young offensive minds in college football. I think they could be the team to take an actual big jump this year and make a splash. I'm not even playing the homer game. I actually believe it.
No, I mean, I don't think that's a shocking pick at all because like you said, that offense is going to be ridiculous. I think partially I knew someone else was going to pick Texas State and I didn't want to go with it. But realistically, it is a little tricky because, I mean, they have just think about their non-con. Their best is what, Arizona State, I think.
They're gonna go undefeated, Bobby.
There you go. Would be pretty cool.
You go, Ty.
I was going to say, I do love how we didn't necessarily have an actual wild card this week, and Jamison still found a way to pick Texas State.
He still got Boko in there.
It's tremendous. And his shirt matches their graphic.
Yo, buddy, Texas State!
I actually didn't know that was a Texas State shirt. The text has not been visible all pod.
Texas State tailgater, baby.
Have you ever been to a Texas State tailgate?
This man has never been to San Marcos in his life.
Oh my. Wait. So I'm just saying, hypothetically, OU probably is not going to be number 5. Like that's a long shot. But how interesting would a Texas State at OU playoff game like that will tear at our hearts? I mean, obviously we're going to
if
go
that
with OU,
happens,
but
I will fund and facilitate the creation of a house divided jersey for Jamison to wear. It's
I'll
just
wear
half
it.
and half. down the
I'd
middle.
wear it.
that's incredible. That's incredible. Let's move on to their next
No,
one.
Blake wants to say something
I
about me.
had one problem. I guess like I see how he got there. Oregon being rated so low seems pretty wild to me, and that means you think Michigan beats them whenever they go to their house, but
Yep, I do.
I think that's a pretty hot take. I think Michigan's defense is good, but I think Oregon is just so much more well-rounded, and I don't think playing
Michigan gets Oregon at home. It's a simple.
I know that, but I just think Oregon's that much better, and I don't think Michigan's home field advantage is what people said. It's big, yes, but they're a wine and cheese crowd.
Yeah, losing to Ohio State and Michigan in the same season. That's very interesting, to say the least. Any final thoughts on Jameson's before we move on? Nay?
No.
Cool.
That was really my only.
All right, moving on to Ty's CFP. Ty, who do you got?
I will start from the bottom up. At 12, I have Boise State. That's the only group of 5 team that I know of. So that's why they're there.
Oh my God, I just looked and saw something.
At 11, we have Miami. There wasn't really any particular order to these because I was confident down to like 8. And then it was just off the dome. We just kind of let things happen. So I like Miami. So they are at 11. Why we have 2 ACC teams in here, I don't know. At 10, we have Alabama. I think Brand gets them in. At 9, we have Oklahoma State. Again, not really sure what necessarily I was thinking, but I had to go back to my Big 12 rankings, and I had them at 2, and I couldn't necessarily give love to anyone else. At 8, I have Penn State, and that is as low as I could make them, really, because I hate them, and they are just I don't even know what they are. They're not brand merchants because unlike Notre Dame, they really don't even have that great of a brand, but they have a cupcake schedule, and for some reason, they have so many freaking people that have gone there every year. They're like 70,000 a year freshman classes. They just get a ton of votes. So I see them. This is where I start to get confident, right? And it starts to come together. At 8, Penn State. 7, OU. Of course, we don't get the luxury of playing Georgia. Not really sure how it works out in my mind that we beat Texas, but then end up behind them. Texas I have at 6, even though with a hypothetical loss to OU. And then Georgia in the SEC title game. Number 5, Ohio State. Frankly, I wouldn't be surprised if Ohio State has several losses and finds themselves much farther down the playoff list or not in it at all. Ryan Day, not that guy, will continue to be exposed. Number 4, Florida State. The ACC is unbelievable. They've benefited so much from this new college football playoff structure that I think they might actually survive and thrive. Because now if you're Florida State, you basically have an auto number 4 in the playoff every year. You can be like a 4 or 5 loss team as long as you just somehow beat everyone else in your conference. You're just squeaking into the playoff every year. It's kind of crazy. Flaw the system, but I have Florida State there. 3, I got Utah. Again, kind of flaw the system. I don't think they're the 3rd best team, but flaw the system there. I think they're the best in the Big 12. 2, Oregon. I'm actually extremely, extremely confident on this. I will be vindicated on that pick. And then number 1, Georgia. I just don't think they drop it against anyone. I think they've definitely taken a step back. I wouldn't predict them to win the Natty this year, but I think they go into the playoffs number 1 pretty easily.
So first things first, the first thing, when I looked at this, I realized something is that you are very, very close to doing something really funny, Ty. OSU is in a weird spot where one, you say Alabama got in because of the brand, but not enough to jump over OSU. And also OSU and OU are like 1 or 2 spots away from having a Bedlam college football playoff matchup.
Yes.
And to believe the college football playoff committee would stare at that and be like, nah, let's give us
for a conference game.
a conference game
a conference rematch.
A conference rematch that for OU, hypothetically, in this scenario, they would not make the SEC title. They would play Alabama, play LSU, and then play Alabama at home again.
Yes.
So it's just kind of one of those funnier little deals.
Just means more. Yeah, I wasn't
Just means
necessarily. I wasn't
No.
thinking about it.
Oh no, it's fine. I thought about it a lot making the graphic and everything. I was like, that's kind of funny. He was really close.
I do have to point out, since two of these playoff brackets include OU, that is probably the hottest take of all the ones, with a win total sitting at 7.5.
Yes.
Like, it is sitting at 7.5. It's like Michigan is a fringe, like a very fringe team in a lot of people's brackets, and they are sitting at 9.5. And 2 wins is a lot of wins when it comes to Vegas win totals. So I'll just keep it there. I already did my OU slander, I guess, last week. But yes, having OU in the playoff bracket is pretty insane with the win total. Yes, it is, Bobby. It is. You're high on them. You're high on them.
I am high on
this
them.
is a hot take to put Oklahoma in the playoffs.
I think putting them at 7 is very
Okay. Don't let a man who has Texas State in the
anywhere.
playoffs tell you that your
So
blue
they're-
blood in the playoffs is an
they're
absurd take.
So they're AP ranked 16th. I had them at 10. That's a difference of 6 places.
Yeah, but then you have to actually think about how this is going to work out, and like how the AP is currently ranked that is favoring like some teams over the others. They're gonna, like, once conference play happens and wins and losses happen to a lot of these SEC teams that are ranked in the top 20, like, it's gonna bump a lot of them out. Like the SEC has so many in the top, like the SEC is not going to have 5, 6 in the top 10, top 12.
Yeah, no, I mean probably not. I don't know. It kind of
So
seems to shake out that. Kind of seems to shake out that way.
I don't know. With Blake, with your media bias conspiracy, there's a pretty reasonable argument that any sort of SEC like 1-loss circle of suck could actually turn into like an SEC 1-loss circle of quality losses that just boost everyone else's brand.
But the problem is,
like, I don't think it's crazy to say you could see Georgia, Texas, OU, Ole Miss, and Bama, and then maybe one other team in the top.
But then you have all the automatic qualifiers. So you're basically having none from the Big Ten, which is going to be the issue. Like, I feel like the committee is going to treat those as somewhat of equals. I think on most years, like if it came down to it between one spot, like the SEC is going to get one more spot over the Big Ten. I don't think we're going to see many situations where the Big Ten is getting that extra spot over the SEC. But you have to remember, there's a lot of automatic qualifiers in this. Like,
I do think
they're going to try to make it look equitable while still always giving the SEC the most spots.
No, the committee's always on that BS. I think 4 for the SEC and 3 for the Big Ten.
Yes.
Again, people are going to accuse me of ball not knowerism looking at my playoff picks that I had some fun with here. But I think my most accurate pick here is that the SEC for sure, I think, gets 4 in. The Big Ten gets 3.
Yeah. Oh,
and then I think you fill out the rest.
The SEC will always get a minimum of 4. They will always get
the one fly in the ointment in this is no Notre Dame. I think Notre Dame's going to find a way in.
No,
like
I could see Iowa.
I think that schedule's too light to not.
Iowa making it in.
Iowa.
I would love that.
Oh my god. That's funny. All right, let's move on. Blake, let's see your college football playoff. Who do you got?
What in the world?
Yep. So similar to Jamison, I had Ohio State over Georgia. I think Georgia's the better team, but Ohio State with a relatively light schedule, even if they drop the one to Oregon, they're probably going to roll some of these bad teams. Georgia, I feel like, has a harder time getting to undefeated than they have in the past, but we're splitting hairs there. 3 is Miami. I think Miami's they're the most talented team in the ACC. Whether they put that together and actually win anything, me and Bobby covered that very extensively on the ACC pod. They're either going to be unranked or they're going to be in the playoff. Like, there is no in between. I don't see a marginal Miami. They're just either there or they're not. But I'm actually trying to believe that I'm like Cam Ward takes this team to another level with that talent of 3 years of elite recruiting behind them, that they're just better than Florida State. They're better than Clemson. Then we go 4 K-State, covered that on the Big 12 pod. I think they're going to win that there. 5 Oregon. I think Oregon's one of the best teams in the nation, but just have to fall in the 5 spot just because of automatic qualifiers. 6 Texas. I'm still very high on Texas. 7 Penn State. We kind of covered it a little bit. Penn State has like one of the easiest roads to get there. They could do the typical Penn State, like drop all the games that they're supposed to lose, but win all the ones that they are supposed to win, and they somehow end up there. They're probably, sadly, like, I was texting y'all last night. I'm like, this one pained me because there's some of these picks that are just going to have to end up there just because, like, I can't see them losing more games than are actually on their schedule. So 7, Penn State ends up there. 8, Ole Miss. Ole Miss I'm very high on. 9, Tennessee, also very high on. I didn't really think about, now going through this, like how they would actually match up in the semifinals. I don't think the rankers would try, like, I think they're going to try to avoid conference matchups. I think they're going to do weird voodoo in order to, like, kind of push those as far inwards, but I think Tennessee's going to be there. I'm really high on them. 10, Notre Dame, schedule light. They're just, that sucks. They should not be there. They're not one of the top 10 teams in the nation. 11, Florida State. I still think they're high on them. I think if they're at 11-1 in that championship game versus Miami, they are going to get it. And then 12, Boise State. I didn't know what to do with this 12 spot. There was a lot of pressure on this G5 spot, and I'm glad we went through all of everybody else's before we got to mine. One thing needs to be said. Liberty is probably the front runner for that 12 spot because they play one of the worst schedules in America. I think after last year and Oregon, even with guys sitting out, absolutely destroying them, I'm hoping put a nail in their coffin that even a Boise State at 11-1, maybe 10-2, but I'm assuming it's 11-1 Boise State makes it over because they're actually trying to schedule competent competition with Oregon at the beginning of the season. Liberty should not make it ever unless they start scheduling a non-conference schedule. Like they legitimately have one of the weakest schedules in America. The Conference USA sucks. So I'm glad to see that everybody at 12 was not putting Liberty Flames there.
And I mean, they have not a single Power 4 game on the schedule. Like it's Liberty should be just not allowed. It's garbage.
They're legitimately could, if they keep up this schedule, they will just not lose games till bowl games, like for the next few years. They are that much better than their Conference USA opponents.
I think they have App State this year.
They do?
Which, like, that's a toss-up.
Okay, that's,
App State, Joseph, your only hope. We're going to have to add that to our weekend spread for that week, for sure.
But, yes, feel free to roast me.
I think you're overhyping Tennessee too much.
Yep, I am. I think Tennessee, I think there's going to be one surprising SEC team there, as we've seen from 2 of them. We've seen OU. I think Tennessee is just like the better version of OU. Not as elite on the defense, but I like their offensive system a little bit more. Going to put them there.
So a couple notes overall. Jamison is the only person of the 4 to have Michigan in his college football playoff. Blake is also the only person to have Tennessee in his college football playoff as well.
Michigan, I feel like it's Alex Orji. If he can't throw, I think they're just not going to be that good.
Still, their defense is going to win them so many.
I know, but
dude, and y'all are like, I understand. I understand that you're worried about Alex Orji, but the dude's a freaking runner, man. Dude, that guy is he's so athletic. Like him and Donovan Edwards is going to be hard to stop.
Maybe it's just, Well, they also have Texas in the non-conference, and in addition to a really tough conference schedule, I'm not sold on the Wolverines with how much they lost after last year. Like, to me, last year was like the year. Everyone went all out, cheated, did whatever they could do. Harbaugh leaves. Obviously, a lot of people leave for the draft. It's the cupboard. I don't want to say it's bare because there's good talent there, but it's
I got 2 of the top 4 defensive players in the country.
No, I agree. Like Jamison's right on the defense, but it's just like Bobby said, it's like when you're talking about these at-large opponents, it's gonna come down to non-conference schedules. It's like when you're scheduling Texas in the year that you're down. Like this could easily, like you could easily see them at 8-4, and like they're not a bad team, but it's just that's where they land.
I understand, and obviously everyone's polls are different. I just think that Orji has at least the talent around him to help him out. Loveland to tight end. Donovan Edwards at the running back position. I understand that line got switched up a little bit there, but I feel at least confident enough that we aren't representing the defense enough here, because I'm victim of it too. I talk way too much about offense and quarterback specifically. A running game that is hard to stop plus a dominant defensive unit is going to be a very hard team to beat.
Yeah, and we probably did underrate Michigan a little bit, but I think a lot of
I
us
could see them being 13 though. I could see them being like
Yeah.
13. It's like they're just the ones left out of the playoffs. Like
And
I don't
I think
think like they're going to be irrelevant.
I think a lot of it was Penn State over Michigan. I think a lot of people have essentially 3 Big Ten teams, and Michigan's just the odd team out.
And I left Penn State out.
Yeah, I think that's
schedule is so easy.
I
And
know.
like, I hate it.
So
I want Jamison to be right. Like Michigan deserves to be there because they actually like seem to like schedule and care about pedigree of some sorts. Penn State is just they're going to be schedule merchants. They always have been.
USC is going to have to be a loss for Penn State in this scenario, and which I'm counting on. And then they're going to drop a random game. And then do we have a chance with the West Virginia game as well?
If Michigan and Penn State played, I would probably have Michigan.
Yes.
Like, that would probably be the thing that switches it for me.
I think it's gonna be a random, be like a Wisconsin or please God no a Minnesota or just something random, and then I think Ohio State and USC are their losses, and they're on the outside looking in.
Yeah,
Notre Dame too. I know we talked about them a little bit, but they're in that exact same conversation for me. It's like I don't want to put them there. They are not one of the 12 best teams in this country. I really don't believe that, especially injuries to that offensive line. Riley Leonard always being injured, but they have a soft enough schedule where it's like A&M is probably their hardest game, but then the 2 other ones that they could possibly lose besides that is Louisville coming in there, which they can easily win. And then Florida State coming in there, and like Notre Dame does have a good home field advantage. So it's like they basically get all their other hard opponents at home, and they just have to beat an A&M team, which they're like, they opened as a favorite and swung to A&M, but they're like basically like locked eyes with them wise.
Well, and really all Notre Dame needs to do is not lose all 3. Like if they go 1-2 against them, 2-loss Notre Dame is not getting left out of a 12-team freaking playoff.
Yeah. Blake, do you know the quarterback for Louisville?
It is, oh God, it's, is it, no, I always, because I get, it's Shuck. Yeah, it's Shuck. I wanted to say Bear Morton because I like all the previous Texas Tech quarterbacks are all around. Donovan, Donovan Smith at Houston. In that one mock draft that was projected the number 2 pick.
I don't know what the hell is going on at Football Network, Pro Football Network, or whatever. That was tough.
Jeez. All right, y'all ready to move on to our favorite win totals?
Let's do it.
Okay, let's do it. So, I'm going to go ahead and just go first. And we're going to make it simple. I don't care.
No wild card video package?
Oh, shit. I haven't thought about this as a wild card.
Why are the brakes working? Because I cut the brakes! Wild card, bitches! Yeah! What? Oh, guys, I can't stop this fast!
All right, this is kind of like a season-long wild card, I guess.
I just wanted to hear it. I wanted to hear it. Just
felt good to hear it again.
Back.
Felt good to hear it again. Look, I'm just gonna say it, and I've been pretty high on OU. I'm putting my money where my mouth is. Sooners over 7.5 feels like a lock to me. I'm really big on the Sooners. I just think they find a way to get to 8 at the very least. I just do. I'm going to ride with them. And if they don't, then, honestly, like, it's not going to be a fun football season anyways. So Sooners over 7.5 is my lock of the season.
It's going to be a really sad one if it doesn't hit. It's going to be a double whammy to you right at the end of the season.
Yeah, entering Baton Rouge, like sweating it out.
Like, please. Oh, that's just going to be a dagger. I'm just going to turn of the dagger whenever it's their 6 wins.
Yeah,
oh, man, that's going to be tough.
Well, they're going to get it. So
I think that it's a good pick. I think 7.5 is probably like a pretty decent line, but I think they get it.
Yeah. I was considering going under 10.5 for Penn State as well, but I don't know.
That
That
would be
schedule's
dirty,
just
and that would frustrate you the whole year.
yeah, I don't want to deal with that. Like it's the same with over Penn State 10.5 because they're going to lose to Ohio State, and then you're just waiting for the other foot to drop. But Jamison, who do you got?
Well, who do you think I got? Put that graphic up, Bobby. Oh man, it is Texas State Bobcats, baby, over 8.5. Let me tell you something. Y'all gonna play this game like, oh, he's just gonna pick Boco, Texas State all the time, and you're like, oh, here he goes again. I'm telling you, GJ Kinney is one of the best young coaches in college football. He's probably going to get a new job next year because people are going to realize how good he's doing for this Texas State football team. And telling you, the Sun Belt's pretty open, and their hardest games this year would be the second and third game this season, I'd guess, maybe Troy. But second game, they get UTSA, their rival, at home. That is a big, big game, and they get that one at home. And then their one, non-group of 5 game would be Arizona State at home, which what do you think of Arizona State this season? I think that could be a win, especially with the way this offense is. I'm telling you guys, like, buy stock into Texas State, all jokes aside, because their offense is absolutely electric. And I think that there are going to be games this season where they're going to put up 50, 60 points, and you're going to blink and you're like, what the hell happened? Jordan McLeod is an absolute stunner from James Madison. What he did for that program last year coming in to this Texas State team is an absolute blessing. And you've got returners on the wide receiving room, Cole Wilson, Joey Hobart, Ismail Mahdi at the running back position. Like, this team is a really good team, and they've got some really good senior leadership on the defense. Their whole defensive line are all seniors. If you just go down, I'm pretty sure the majority of their starters are all upperclassmen. Like, this is a freaking squad, guys. And y'all can flame me. Y'all can giggle. Y'all can laugh about me picking Texas State. I love this pick.
Yeah, I honestly like it too. Like I
Sunbelt.
get. I do think we probably have to cap Boco on the on the wild card.
No, this is America. Stop.
No.
Every time, that's boring. You have to mix it up.
No. Why are you trying to restrict us?
I'm fine with him going down on this sword, like falling on this sword. I'm totally fine with it.
Okay, fine. Look, the people vote against me. That's okay.
No
Blake,
one
who
has
do you got?
voted or said anything about Texas State except
Texas State, like, I will say the Sun Belt's weird. They all beat up on each other. Like, it's very rarely do we get, like, it felt like COVID year with Coastal Carolina. We actually got an undefeated squad coming out there. They could easily not get beat up per se, but they do play like some solid ones. Like, they play Louisiana, who's one of the top ones in the Sun Belt. They do play Troy. They do play South Alabama. Like, these are all relatively like good Sun Belt programs. I think Texas State's the better one of them, but like, they're good ones at that.
Everything looks great until you go into Mobile, Alabama on a Tuesday night, and then everything goes to hell.
Oh, yes, baby. Tuesday football. Oh, man. It's getting me excited.
Sun Belt is by far the best non-P4 conference, but it also is, like, in terms the most entertaining. No, would
staying up late enough to watch some Mountain West ball, boys.
Fair enough. I think the Sun Belt's better than the Mountain West head to head, but also just crazy stuff happens. It's just not. I don't know. It's not a good conference for producing winners. Blake, who do you got?
Yes, I kind of forgot we had to make this pick this week, and so I'm just gonna go with the classic hater pick. Like, I feel like that's more enjoyable, not trying to be smart, not trying to be cute like last year when I got big money on Colorado State to go over their wins. Like, that was fun and all, but the team that's gonna underperform this year, and I think it's probably gonna be 8-4, but it's SMU under that 8.5 win total. The glazing in the national media right now is insane when it comes to the SMU Mustangs. They are a team that, yes, is good on paper. They have a lot of returners. Oh, they got a good quarterback. They played 3 P5 opponents last year and lost bad to all of them. The OU team last year was nothing special, lost to them, especially OU team at the beginning of the season looked very shaky. A TCU team that was god-awful, dreadful, like kicked their teeth in, and then went into a bowl game. Like, bowl games are very rare over in that section of Dallas, and they lost to Boston College, like a team that's going to be in their conference. I see three. What?
Over in that section of Dallas, what other team is there in Dallas?
There's not. I guess like if we were talking chess, I could say UTD. I think they have billboards all over town that they're top 4 in the nation in chess. But
no, and I mean that's the thing too, Blake, is like they were inches away from a New Year's Six bowl. Like if Diego Pavia, if Diego Pavia and the boys took care of business. Like they're very close in the Conference USA title. Should have beat those whack jobs from Liberty, and SMU was that close, and then gets blown out by Boston College in the Fenway Bowl. The Wasabi Fenway Bowl.
Yeah, they can't be like, I don't want to hear any SMU fans, the few that are out there. They are loud. They are all over my profile. I cannot get rid of them on Twitter. Like, I'm not a big blocker at all because I want to see the unfiltered conversation. But damn, I cannot get rid of like the 3 accounts that post for SMU. But at 8.5, this is the way we win. They're gonna lose to TCU. That's gonna really, we could go 11-1 and lose to SMU this year, and that would sting so much. It's the last year of the Iron Skillet, which is some big old BS, but that is the way this college sports landscape goes. They're gonna lose to Florida State and they're gonna lose to Louisville. That gets me 3 losses. Then I just gotta hope one of these randos, they play a bad schedule. Like, that's why they are the darlings of the national media. They play a bummy schedule. Of course, they give SMU the big money makers, the prop up in order to try to succeed in this ACC landscape. But I just got to pray. I got to pray maybe a BYU is feisty enough. Boston College revenge. I forgot my guy out at UVA that throws like 2 picks for every touchdown, but it's just like absolutely keeping them in games. He was electric last year. You just got to pray one of these teams step up.
Anthony Colandrea.
Yes, Colandrea. Anthony Colandrea. What a man. I'm just praying that one of these teams just steps up and beats them because I think they're going to lose to every competition that's better than them. And they just have not played a legitimate conference schedule in 20, 30 years. So
that's fair. That's fair.
The American last year.
No, you're right. You're right. You're right.
In like the years when UCF and Cincinnati and those guys were in there, they were like avoiding them like the plague and still not winning.
I'm not gonna lie. I mixed up conference and non-conference schedule. I'm like, well, last year wasn't that bad, but you know, you're right. No,
they've been preying on these like. The American conference is sneaky, like very bad, like very, very bad now.
The Charlottes of the world, you know, anyways.
Yeah, like there's only Memphis, UTSA there, like maybe some holdovers at Tulane if you feel confident there. But besides that, holy crap, it is bad. It is bad. So that's who they've been playing all these years. So I feel good that it's just the week-to-week grind just gonna beat them down. So.
All right. Ty, what's your favorite win total?
I very much love that OU win total, just to go on the record, but I'll change it up a little bit just for the sake of entertainment. Let me ask you guys something. What do you get? I don't know, I should have thought of a joke beforehand. I had plenty of time. What do you get when you do 5 plus 5 plus 0.5? You get 10.5. What's more than 10.5? 11. And that's 1 less than the number of wins that the Oregon Ducks are going to have in the regular season at 12. They ain't losing to no one. It's a team built to carry a bum quarterback to championships. They looked at, hey, what's the Bama model? What did Bama do for forever? They just had random guys like A.J. McCarron win national championships. And then Kirby said, let me go to Georgia. What am I going to do here? Oh, my God, they've given me Tate Martell. I'm going to get rid of this guy, and I'm going to get, Jake Fromm, Stetson Bennett, guys that are just unbelievably unremarkable in here, and that's what's going to win us championships. And Oregon is built around that. And then they were great with Bo Nix. They only ever lost to one team with Bo Nix, who is garbage. And then they said, what if we just took Bo Nix, who's just slightly better in every way besides durability and size? And that's Dylan Gabriel. So it's such a perfect team. And again, not to go into the schedule analysis, but they're not losing to Idaho. They're not losing to Boise State. They're not losing to Oregon State. They're not losing to UCLA. They're not losing to Michigan State. They're not going to lose to Ohio State because that coach at Ohio State is not that guy. They're not going to lose to Purdue. That's maybe the one they might lose. They're not going to lose to Illinois. They're not going to lose to Michigan. Michigan's going to be unranked by the end of the season if half their coaching staff isn't in jail. They're not going to lose to Maryland. They're not going to lose to Wisconsin. They're not going to lose to bye week on November 23rd. And they're not going to lose to Washington. They're going to get their revenge. So I really, 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 really like Oregon over 10.5. And again, you turn the bits off, right? Oh, yeah, they're going to lose to Ohio State. In that scenario, they only have to beat a Michigan team that is on the down, and Oregon is on the up. So I really, really like. Could backfire, whole new season in a new conference, but to zag a little bit from Bobby's OU over 7.5. Give me Oregon over 10.5. I'm equally confident on both of those.
I think it's bold, but I really like the Ducks. So I think that's solid. That's something to aspire to. I would be a little skittish. Like you want, like it's so high. It's one of those that you really start to sweat week by week. But I respect it and I like it. So
I'm the only one on a group of 5. Shame y'all.
I know. I kind of wanted to go to it, but I, 1, forgot this was happening, but 2, I love a hater pick. Like, rooting for unders kind of rocks. Like, it kind of rocks. Like, you're just
hating just the whole way.
There's always hope. It just needs to be next week.
I will not be shamed for picking a 10.5 game win total on what's predicted to be the number 2 team in a conference.
Right. Yeah, that's not fine.
I feel like that's fine. I feel like that's bold enough. That's like when you guys try to shame me for picking Bama week 1, but it's like a 50-point line.
It's gonna happen again this year.
No, definitely with Bama. No, I'm down on Bama. We might fade Bama week 1. They might lose. They might lose outright.
Ty has set himself up for the most glorious Schooner Pod season. He is very high on OU. Those standards are there, so I am excited to watch the 3 of y'all go at it if something goes wrong.
It's going to be very intriguing, that Schooner Pod season. And
I feel like Jameson's the lowest, which is...
Yeah, because he's the most rational of the 3, I think.
He keeps scaring off the viewers.
Yeah,
I'm being rational.
We're a doomer podcast, right?
No, I am just going to say like I hear it and I see it right now. And the only data points we have on OU is on the offense side of the ball is a little concerning right now. So y'all can't say that being a little timid is too much. So get out my comments if you think that's the case. Sorry. Or get in the comments and yell at me.
Get in the comments.
Watch the video. Just watch the video and for however long.
He's just concerned that we don't have Marcus Major this year to rely on, which is understandable.
Alabama minus 31, Western Kentucky at home. Who you got?
Only 31?
Yeah,
Western Kentucky.
Oh, yeah.
Western Kentucky.
God, no. Oh, God, no.
Toppy plus 31?
I love some Toppy, but hell no, man.
Western Kentucky is pretty bad. I'm just letting you guys know that.
They're pretty bad, but they're still the number 2 team in the Conference USA, which says everything you need to know about Liberty in the Conference USA run. Like,
you guys are in the middle of the Atlantic in 1912, and some dude just came up to you in a rowboat and offered you first-class tickets to the Titanic, and you guys are like, "What's the Titanic? It's unsinkable. It's a beautiful ship. Look at how amazing the ship is," and you're trying to hop on that. That's hopping on Bama right now. It's crazy.
But Bama versus, we're not talking about Bama to national championship. We're talking about covering the spread versus Western Kentucky, a very bad P5 team.
Yeah, I mean, Alabama can handle that. I don't know. That's going to be a very interesting thing to track. But look, that's all we got for week 0. So up next, we got week 1. So here's just a little bit of a preview of our slate. I don't imagine it changing much over the course of week 0. Week 1 slate, though, looking like Penn State at West Virginia, TCU at Stanford, UNLV at Houston, South Dakota State at Oklahoma State, Miami at Florida, Notre Dame at Texas A&M, LSU and USC in Las Vegas, Clemson and Georgia and Atlanta, and then the final one, because we're an OU podcast, and this is the one we're all waiting for, Temple at Oklahoma. So if you're wondering, like, just general college football fan, like, hey, why the hell are they picking so many random ass Big 12 games? Well, so here's the thing. We kind of cut our teeth on the Big 12. And honestly, I don't want to fully abandon that. And as such, we're going to be trying to keep a solid blend of the SEC, obviously moving to the new conference and all that, but continue to respect the Big 12 roots, having a good amount of games from the Big 12 week by week. And then, of course, the major non-conference national games from the Big 10, ACC, and elsewhere. So that is the new setup for the weekend spread as we go along. Certainly a little bit of a pivot, but not as much as I think initially we thought. I know Blake for a while was thinking we would abandon the Shield, but we're gonna keep a little respect for the Shield.
Honestly, like when it works its way out, we're picking probably a more nationally relevant slate now than we ever did before. Like these records you see on our left were got like. Most of these were like West Virginia, Iowa State, week 10, when both were not bowl eligible. So I think whatever blend the new one will be, it will be probably a more nationally relevant games you're probably watching slate than we picked all the Big 12 games, good or bad.
We were duking it out.
Maybe we can actually highlight the top like 2 or 3 maybe and we have more nationally relevant games on the slate.
Man, we were brawling in the slop for a while there, which was kind of fun because you got to really know the teams and you got to we got really good at picking the Big 12. But yeah, there's probably not going to be a lot of those kind of crappy games on the slate from either conference. So, but yeah, it should be fun. Well, that's our show for week 0. We will see y'all if you're Sooner fans. We'll see y'all coming up on Sunday as we preview the Temple Owls. We have a game preview. We probably won't have much to say about
the
Temple.
matchup of Temple Owls, not Temple themselves.
We're mainly previewing the matchup. Yeah, like there's not a lot to say about Temple, but you get the point. We'll be talking to you, Temple, talking about the games. It'll be great. And then we'll be back on, I believe, Monday. We haven't. I think we settled on Monday, right?
I think so. I don't want to speak for everybody else.
Yeah.
No, yeah. And then we'll be back on Monday to talk that slate for college football. So bit of an unorthodox week going forward. We're going to do Sundays and Wednesdays, occasional Tuesday if we need to flex. But yeah, boys, the 2024-25 college football season officially underway. The picks are on the board, and good luck to you all. Except not really. I hope you all suck. Okay. Wow.
Cut.
Jamison was going to say something.
No, I wanted that to be the ending.
Okay. Well, all right. Look, again, we're in week 0 for him. Good night, everyone, and good luck.